Everyone out here is hyping up a $6,000 plus camera, and here I am thinking, hey, have you ever tried a scrap of plywood? YouTube will have you thinking that it's all about shooting open gate on a camera with color coordinated cables, that every part fits perfectly into drawers or pelicans full of Kaizen foam, preying on our desires to look or be perceived as cool and make our gear and spaces look like they belong to Tony Stark. But I'm neither a billionaire and I'm also not fiction. I work in the real world, and the real world is messy. And you know what's actually cool on a film set? It's getting the job done. And sometimes you need to get the job done with the ugliest, jankiest gear available. On a real working film set, whether it's one of my corporate videos or a big production, the solutions aren't found in those perfect cases of expensive gear. They're found in the little pouches and cases that a good key grip or art director are going to bring to set. This Mathellini clamp has saved my butt on so many shoots, and I would argue that it makes a way more meaningful difference to my average shoot day than the incremental features on an upgraded camera. It's also very satisfying to use. The problem is that it's not really lucrative for the internet to sell you a little bag full of $2 tidbits that actually have outsized value on a real working film set. Filmmaking is messy, and that's why I love it. While shooting Tony Stark's fictional workshop, I would put money on the fact that just beyond the edges of frame, the crew had to figure out some solutions with tape on the wall, even on a Marvel film. When I think about what a real workshop, what a real usable space looks like, I picture Adam Savage's. I've been in enough real workshops to know that it's messy, and you always find the solutions in the weirdest places. I could spend a very long day snooping around Adam Savage's workshop. Hint, hint. I know how it is to be young, especially a young dude. You want to look cool. You want to have the cool car, the cool shoes. You think that if you purchase the cool things, you will become cool or something like that. But as you get older and you deal with the real world more and more, you realize none of that stuff matters. Looking cool does not equal being cool. If you're just trying to be cool, you're looking to impress strangers at the expense of everyone who has to actually interact with you. Which brings me to filmmaking tools. When you work on a real film set, things get really scrappy really fast. If you have to dim a desk lamp that is in frame on set, you could get a $100 LED puck, hook it up to a Wi-Fi controller. Maybe if it's an incandescent bulb, your gaffer will have a dimmer in their kit. Or if time's running out, you can just pull out a Sharpie. On sets, we're always on a time crunch, and while the crew is fussing with a finicky Wi-Fi connection, we're very quickly pulling out the Sharpie, which is why I love filmmaking. And with that experience, you quickly realize which gear is just hype and which gear is going to help you make your day. But because this is capitalism, there's not really any good affiliate links to attach to a piece of plywood. This is not sexy filmmaking gear. Do I have a scrap of plywood in my kit? Yes, I do. In fact, I have more than one. I have much plywood in my filmmaking kit. I've got 2, maybe 3 uses for these, and they're very exciting. So exciting. Sometimes you just need a light really low. You can look on B&H and you can get a really low stand. You can pay money to get a light really low. Or you can build a floor plate. And what a floor plate is just a scrap of plywood. This one is too small. I would like to make it big enough that I could put a sandbag on it. But for demonstration purposes, you get a scrap of plywood. And then you get what's called a baby plate. You can buy this for like $10 on B&H. And what it is a baby pin. This is the standard pin that's on the top of any C-stand or light stand. And it is welded to a plate of metal. Baby plate. Makes sense. You take that, put it on your plywood, and it doesn't have to be pretty at all. And you take a couple screws and you screw the plate to the plywood, and you have a baby plate. I have a bigger baby plate, but I actually have a diffusion frame sitting on the surface holding it. Look at how wonderfully I attached this. It's very aligned, very careful. This is all you need to get a light really low. Maybe you're shooting in a kitchen and you need some ambient fill in the background, but you don't want to have a stand back there. So you put this on the floor and you put a light on it. And maybe with a projector lens, it hits the ceiling out of frame, but it can fill that kitchen with some ambient light. A floor plate is great. My floor plate is just a piece of 3/4 inch plywood with one of these screwed into it. Just make sure your screws aren't too long that they stick out the bottom. These baby plates are really handy. I use them all over the place. You can screw them into the ceiling. I have a receiver version, so not a pin, but what a pin goes into that you can tighten. I have that in the ceiling of my basement. Just make sure that if you screw these into a ceiling or a wall, you find a joist or a stud with a stud finder. Found one. All right, I think you get it. Let's keep moving. Let's keep trucking. The second big thing I've built with plywood in my kit is my homemade Dana dolly. I was shooting a short film and I wanted a long tracking shot. So I built this because I don't live near a city. It takes me a long time to go in and get rentals. So it's faster for me to just throw something together than it is to go rent it. My Dana dolly is essentially some skateboard wheels bolted to angle iron. And because I needed it fast for the shoot, I just zip tied it to a piece of plywood. There's a 75 millimeter bowl for a tripod where I actually wanted to mount my tripod head on here so I can do pan and tilt while I'm dollying. On the other shoots, I just literally bolted a cheap fluid head to this plywood itself. You don't need this box. This box is a bit overkill. This is just a 3/4 inch scrap piece of plywood from the cupboards that I pulled out of this house. I wanted to do like an alien invasion scene for one of my YouTube videos, and I wanted a light to be going up in the air, sort of like an UFO or an alien spaceship. And I cut these zip ties and I zip tied these wheel holders onto a bigger piece that could run on a length of my dad's extension ladder. So I essentially had a 15-foot long track for a dolly shot. What I ended up doing is taking the plywood and putting a baby plate on it and mounting a light, and it went up into the air. So I had my daughter pulling it up a ladder with a rope that went over a pulley for the shot. To rent a crane to mount a light on, I don't know what that would cost. A $100,000 crane? I don't know. $1 million crane? $1 billion crane? I don't know. It wasn't feasible. I ran this up a ladder with a pulley and it did the job. Plywood's the best. When we shoot a big commercial, the cinematographer, or usually it's just the first AC or camera assistant, they go to the rental house to build the camera the day before the shoot. They make sure that the camera's running good, that the lenses aren't out of whack. I never go to these. I'm not a cinematographer. I'm a director. I don't think the cinematographers even usually go. It's their first AC. But I do a similar thing at home before a shoot. I pre-build my camera and I bring my camera to set built. Most people who pre-build their cameras do it on a tripod, and a tripod with its legs out are probably going to start taking up like 9 square feet. If you live in an apartment, that's a lot of space. What you want to do is you want to grab a piece of plywood. This is the one I built my first one of these on. Piece of plywood. This is 3/4 inch thick. It's probably around 12 by 14. You want to take this and you want to take one of these Manfrotto receiver plates. This is the plate style that I use. It's the standard Manfrotto style on my Satchler Ace tripod. You want to attach it, not like that, like this. Attach it to a piece of plywood. This is a big one that I made that I took apart for this demonstration. I've made multiple of these and they are by far the handiest thing. And they come with me on every set. This camera that's been sitting here, it is on a piece of plywood. It's about the size of an iPad. It's a smaller piece and I actually prefer this one. Why this hole? I don't know. It probably had this hole in it. This piece of plywood lets me set my camera on my work table and disassemble it and build it and do everything I need to do for a shoot. And because this one is smaller, this iPad size one, I end up just like keeping my camera built on this and sliding it in my cabinet for storage. My camera kind of lives built now. I've also seen pictures of people seat belting their built cameras into their car. And with one of these or especially a bigger one, you can just leave it on the floor of your car. It is not tipping over. Or you can set this itself on its seat and your camera's not trying to roll around. Little tripod plate screwed onto a scrap of plywood. The catch is that these receiver plates, when you tighten the plate in, this lever hits the plywood. And they do ratchet. Like any good film gear, you can pull this out and reset it and ratchet it. For the first one, I cut a circle so that that lever can spin around, which was fine. But for this next one, I just ended up jigsawing a notch right to the edge of the plywood, which works better. When I'm attaching this, I put my camera in, and then when the safety is on, it's not gonna fall out because there's a safety in there. I can just lift this up like this and center it and give it a tighten. And Bob's your uncle. On this video series I'm doing right now, we're doing direct-to-camera interviews. So I use something called an iDirect. It's a pain in the butt to build on set, but it's something that I can just slide right onto the rails and tighten in. And I can carry this whole unit to set as one unit. This device lets me do interviews where I can see you and you can hopefully see a reflection of my face. It looks like you're talking to me, but you're talking to the lens. Errol Morris invented the idea of this and called it the Interrotron. I remember watching The Fog of War. Having the subjects talking right to me felt so novel and so interesting. When I've got this big contraption and I'm going to set, it's on the floor of my car or on a seat while my crew is unloading the van, putting everything onto my cart and bringing it in. I'll hand carry this to set with my tripod and I'm finding our first angle. Will any plywood do? Probably yes. You might not want to use pressure treated plywood that has like chemicals in it. Just a bare piece of plywood will do. This is 1/2-inch Baltic birch. It's actually really expensive plywood. You don't need expensive plywood. This is 3/4 inch, I don't know, fir, antique fir plywood. Should you look for antique fir plywood? No. Just use whatever you can find. If you go to a place like the Home Depot in North America, usually at the back of the store, they have a panel saw where customers are saying, oh, can you pre-cut this down? Sometimes they have scraps there. If you have a cabinet making shop in your town, give them a call because they probably have a stack of scraps that they would love to get rid of. Do not go and buy like a $40 plywood panel. Plywood is expensive these days. Like most things camera related, these have 1/4-20 thread. That is the standard screw size that is in the bottom of every camera. The diameter of it is 1/4 inch, and there are 20 threads per inch. That's what 1/4-20 means. And they have a tapered head. They're very common. And chances are, if you measure your plywood and your plate to get this thickness, that perfect length, or maybe just shy, a bit shy is better than sticking through to interfere with your camera sliding in. They are probably in stock in a multi-pack, ready to go. Mark the holes first. And then mark out the side where the tightening lever is. And then drill them out with a 1/4 inch drill bit. And then find a bigger drill bit and then countersink them so the head can tuck into the wood so that when you're sliding this plate around, the screw head is not sticking out the bottom, scratching up your surface. And using a jigsaw, just cut a notch right to the side of the plywood. Don't get fancy with trying to make like a hole or something. Just cut right to the side like I did on my plate. And that'll give you a lot of room to get your hand in there and tighten the plate down when you put the camera in. Maybe to keep some wood splinters out of the carpet in your car, get some sandpaper. I would suggest a sanding block and just soften those edges. Do it outside so you're not kicking up dust in your apartment or your house. The last thing you can do is finish it. I try to remember to do that. That'll kind of lock down the edges so splinters don't happen, but I didn't even do that with this one. This is just stock as it comes. It's so ugly. But as soon as you use it, it'll be the most beautiful thing you've ever used. The best part about this is I put my camera on here, get it all ready for the shoot, and then I just carry this to the shoot with me. It fits on a car seat, fits on the floor of the car, and then I walk in with my tripod, holding this, and I'm ready to frame up for my first shot. Plywood. Get on it. Sexy? No. Handsy? No, thank you. Handy? Yes. This has been a bit more of a technical and less philosophical video for me. But I hope you see that even though we want like the coolest gear, we want to look the best, we want to look cool, it doesn't really matter. I choose function over form every time. Being professional and looking professional is one thing, and that's a good thing. But thinking your personality is attached to your tools, that's not productive. Personally, love beat up, well-used cameras. This camera is so outdated, but I'm still shooting beautiful work with it, especially with the help of a talented cinematographer. I like the patina of real-world use, and I'm not embarrassed to show up with my camera clamped to a piece of scrap plywood. Your gear isn't special, it's not precious. If you're tying your value to your equipment, then that means you're very easily replaceable for a certain sum of money. You won't get a prize for looking the coolest on set, but you just might if you end up solving a problem on set that helps us make our day. Here's to ugly gear.